It might be hard to believe, but the estate wasn't always the hellhole we experience it as. When our ancestor was a young man, he would inherit the lands, wealth, and status of his family name. He did what most young men with unlimited resources would do. He would host the most extravagant parties in his ancestral home, and nowhere was more lavish than the courtyard. It was a land of unbridled hedonism and luxury. The nobles of the land would arrive in hordes, looking to indulge their more indecent desires, away from the eyes of the church and the commoners. They would feast for days on end, eating the most exotic meals until they became mundane. One particular viscount was so well known for his gluttony, he would even feast on the food that had spoiled and rotten after weeks of binging. As they drank, their desires would turn to the more sadistic variety. Coordinating the more violent activities was the Baron, a hunchback noble who relished in the suffering of others. The ancestor could have stopped these acts. He allowed them to persist, though, for he refused to be labeled as a hypocrite. After all, he had his own desires. This may inadvertently tell us something about his title as well. He had the highest rank among his peers, placing him in the upper levels of nobility. As time went by, the ancestor began to grow bored and spiteful of his fellow courtiers. Perhaps he was tired of having his fellow nobles waste his wealth on their indecency, that to him they were nothing more than parasites, feeding on his family's fortune. Or maybe he just wanted to outdo his fellow aristocrats in their depravity. But during one night, he would encounter someone who would change the course of his life forever. The courtiers engaged in their usual impulses. The ancestor noticed a beautiful young countess who slipped in with the rabble. Beneath her visage of innocence, he could tell she was a predator, looking to seduce and kill. The ancestor played along with her games until the perfect chance to strike. As they danced, the moonlight revealed her true form, a mosquito-like monster that drank the blood of humans. Fortunately, the encounter ended in his favor, as he managed to defeat her. He then set to work on draining her blood and mixing it with wine, to be served at the next gathering. Before we go any further, I just want to take this moment to mention that this is without a doubt the weirdest fucking thing I have ever heard a human being do. Since the ancestor claims he was half mad at the time, what was going through his mind is unknown. Maybe it was his own sadistic desires, maybe it was a plan to rid himself of his fellow courtiers, or maybe the thing underneath the manor was influencing his mind even all the way back then. Honestly, I kind of like the mystery behind it. It's so bizarre and weird for a person to do that, we can't even fathom why. All we know is that he did. At the next gathering of the court, he had the wine served to his fellow aristocrats. As they eagerly drank, he was about to reveal the sickening truth behind the vintage, when suddenly, the courtiers began to transform, turning into the same insect-like creature as the Countess, and began to consume their own flesh in a frenzy. In the commotion, the ancestor dropped his glass, but a single drop of the wine touched his lips and gifted him with a vision. The vision was of the true nature of the world, the thing that slept underneath the manor, the heart of darkness. And as he stood there, reborn, he sought to pursue a new path, and the excavation had begun. But what of those left in the courtyard? Those who had changed into the bloodsuckers? They became the Crimson Court. The gates of the courtyard were locked, and the path was forgotten. But the blood-sucking nobles still lived in the swampy remnants of the courtyard, the cursed blood affecting every living thing in the swamp and tainting the very soil. They may have physically changed, but there is still a hierarchy in this hive of hedonism. The courtyard is unique relative to the rest of the estate, in that to gain access, we need an invitation. The only way to get one is to find and kill a gatekeeper, who are sent out to find new victims for the court, as well as spreading the infestation. On the lowest ring of the pecking order are the sycophants, the supplicants, and the manservants. Sycophants are fast insects, capable of inflicting large amounts of stress damage with their noisy wings. Supplicants are large parasites that have attached themselves to corpses, looking to gather blood for the hive. The manservants act as the personal attendants for the more nobler members of court. They wield a tray of meats and a cleaver to find the choice cuts. On the second tier, we have the more nobler titles: the esquires, the courtesans, and the chevaliers. The esquires attack with both pistol and rapier, cracking ribs and skewering explorers. The courtesans whisper dark rumors to stress our party as they dance around the battlefield. The chevaliers are the knights of the court. Their thick carapace grants them protection in battle, and their pincers can stun our heroes. The final tier are the highest-ranking members of the court, in both title and strength. The Baron. He continues to play his sadistic games of chance, whipping and beating the unfortunate souls who accepted his invitation to play. The Viscount. His palate has expanded into more cannibalistic flavors, consuming not only humans, but other members of the court. The Countess, back from the dead. She survived having her blood drained and returned to take her place as Queen of the Hive. When we face her in battle, she attacks with her parasitic eggs, attaching them to our heroes. They'll gestate and hatch, causing damage and impairment to the target. There are two others to mention in the courtyard, although they have more to do with the strength of the curse than nobility. The Crocodilian is a combination of crocodile and mosquito. It lurks in the swampy waters, waiting for its next meal, be it human, animal, or bloodsucker. Finally is something that demonstrates the corrupting effects of the estate. After we have deposed the Countess, we are given the option to return to the court. If we do, we'll face something that defies logic. The Garden Guardian is both eldritch and stone. It is the living embodiment of the blood that has been corrupted even further by the land. The Guardian isn't truly alive, more like it's just being puppeteered by the blood. A testament to the power of the cosmic truth that lives within us all. When we face members of the court, we risk contracting the Crimson Curse, effectively turning our heroes into vampires. They will go through 4 stages of the curse. While it's passive, the hero will feel the disease within their body, but will not be plagued with the gnawing hunger. As time goes on, they will begin craving the blood, searching for something to slake their thirst, till it becomes too great, and their body will begin wasting away. If they do not receive the blood soon, they will die. If they're given blood at the wasting stage, the disease will return to a passive state. But if they are given blood while craving it, they will enter another state, bloodlust. They will enter into a wild frenzy, attacking friend or foe with devastating force. But what even is this curse? It's described as a plague, but more insidious and darker than a mere disease. There are 2 known ways of curing the Crimson Curse. The first is through some sort of holy water, carried only by the fanatic. which appears to be produced by the church to combat this plague. The second is that after we have defeated each of the high-ranking members of the court, our heroes who were once plagued by the curse will be cured. Furthermore, once we finally put down the Countess, the sanatorium in the hamlet will have learned enough about the plague to be able to cure it simply like any other disease. So it seems like it can be combated through holy means as well as scientific. In the meantime, it's best to quarantine those who are afflicted, so it doesn't spread through our ranks. Allow me a moment to ponder the implications of a creature like the Countess. The blood consumed by the courtiers was her own, and a drop of it gave the ancestor the vision of the heart. It's stated to be the blood of the darkest dungeon. That would mean the blood of the heart, which courses through her veins. So the two have a connection. But of what kind exactly? She is such an independent variable to the rest of the monsters and fiends in the estate, it can be hard to figure out her motives for even traveling to the estate. Sure, she wanted to seduce and drink the blood of the ancestor, but there were easier victims in the crowd. Why him? Personally, I think she was there when the heart was sealed away for the first time, meaning she is as old as it is too. Maybe she's one of the offsprings of the creature. We are all born of the thing, and in the end, we all return to it. So maybe the heart was drawing her back to the estate, as it does with so many others. While it would be easy to ignore the court and leave them to their own vices, the infestation will soon spread even further if we don't venture in. So I propose a toast to the brave souls who seek to end this threat. Your path will be difficult, full of disturbing creatures, grisly injuries, and most of all, blood. Lots and lots of blood. The invitation is yours. The gates are open to enter, if you dare.
A fresh irritant to some, a sanguine memory to me. And so, at last, the end of my beginning.
5 quick things. 1. I have a Discord. It's pretty cool. Check it out. 2. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch. If I ever decide to stream, that'll be the place. 3. I have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. It all goes towards the next video and the other plans I have in the works. 4. Like, comment, and subscribe. There's a reason why everyone on this platform says it, because it actually does help a lot. And 5. If you're new to the channel, check out my other videos too. As always, thank you for watching, and stay tuned.